Welcome to Rooted and Ready from Annie's Project, where we share real conversations about risk, resilience, and the decisions shaping life in agriculture. I'm your host, Carisha Devlin. I'm a farmer and training and curriculum officer with Annie's Project. Today we're joined by Jeri Tulley. After building a successful corporate career, Jeri's life took an unexpected turn that led her into agriculture. What followed is a story of grit, growth, and the power of finding your people, especially through Annie's Project. Jeri, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Your story is an inspiring example of resilience. You had a moment where your whole life was flipped upside down, a moment that brings people to their knees. Can you take us back to what life looked like before your husband's sudden passing?
Well, I worked for Lockheed Martin as a proposal manager. Um, I loved it. I loved being with all of the people and in the meetings. Um, and then when we decided to get married, my husband and I knew that I wanted to finish my education before I had kids. So
Mhm.
I went back to school full time, and got my MBA at TCU. And then I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. So I was taking care of my two boys. They were 7 and 9 when my husband passed away.
Mhm.
Um, and um, life drastically changed. I had cattle um, out in the field that I didn't know how to take care of, because my husband always did that with my dad. Um, And my dad had a family business that my husband was part of. And my dad tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're it." And I'm like, "Dad, I don't even know how to drive a tractor." And he looked at me and he said, "You'll learn." And that I did. It was a steep learning curve, um, filled with some frustrating moments, where I will admit I kicked some tires and shed some tears. Um, but um, I just told myself that I could do it, and that I was smart enough and strong enough to do it. But I had to reach out and find ways to use my skills that I
Mhm.
already had, um, and incorporate help from others to
Mhm.
make my life work with cattle. Um,
I love your dad saying you'll learn.
mhm.
I think that is um, I don't know, such a positive reinforcement of his belief in you, just saying you can do it. And you obviously had that belief in yourself because you were giving yourself those positive affirmations like, okay, I can do this. And I know that that probably took time though. So while you kind of mentioned having the moments where you kicked the tires of the tractor and, just had some frustrations that you were letting out, what were some of the hardest things for you to learn as you were making that transition?
um, I struggled being physically able to
Mm,
do a lot of the things, because my husband had always lifted the 50-pound feed bags.
right.
And some of the machinery is really heavy.
Hmm.
I figured out how to find manuals and read them. But then I also had to, I remember one time I struggled to put hydraulic hose attachments onto my tractor.
Hmm.
And I went up to the John Deere place and I said, "Hey, I think I got the wrong attachment because it is not going on." And the guy looks at me and he was very kind, but he said, "Ma'am, those are the only attachments
Mm.
that they sell. You just need to get this and
Hmm.
kind of let off the hydraulic pressure, and so wiggle the the shifter around a little bit. And if you still aren't strong enough, we'll send somebody out to help
Oh,
you." And um, just that kind of community.
yeah.
Um, I had to learn to ask for help. But my community has been fantastic. When you reach out and actually ask questions and ask for help. Um, and that's kind of where Annie's project came in for me. I knew I needed to learn a lot more.
Hmm.
And I saw this come across my email, an invitation to Annie's project from the Ag Extension agent. And I signed up, and it was one of the best things I ever did. It was 6 weeks of 3 hours a night, and they fed us, and it was a room full of women. Um, my kids sat out in the lobby and played on their games, and they were good with that. They were very welcoming to me, and um, I got to meet a lot of other strong women who
Hmm.
were making it work on the ranch, and we shared stories and contacts, and um, I learned so much through whether it was legal or whether it was about grasses
Hmm.
or fence work. Um, yeah, Annie's project was wonderful because it gave me a lot of contacts in my community.
That that's great to hear. I think that is one of the remarkable things about Annie's Project and the experience of going through an Annie's Project course is that network that you end up having, the people that you meet within the course and those relationships that are formed. You mentioned some of the knowledge and skills that it helped you with. Can we delve a little deeper into that? And could you share a little bit more about how you were able to implement what you were learning into your ranching operation?
Sure. One of the things that helped our ranch um, the most financially was learning about insurance. Um, and I went through all of our insurance plans and made sure after the course, I went
Hmm.
through all of our insurance plans and made sure that we had enough insurance to um, cover the cost of travel with our animals
Hmm.
because we raise Wagyu cattle. And I didn't want to be taking a trailer full of Wagyu cattle, especially our show cattle that are worth are in our genetic herd that are worth a lot more
Hmm.
than just um, and have an accident or have someone hit us and just not be covered.
Right.
Um, and then I learned about drought insurance. And we signed up for drought insurance, and that has been a lifesaver these past few years over the drought. It's helped pay for getting hay into the ranch when we weren't able to produce any. So that's been one of the examples that helped us the
Hmm.
most financially. But legally, I learned a lot about fence laws and liability, and I've been able to help in those areas to secure what we have in the business. Um, I learned a lot about soil and grasses
Hmm.
that I never knew. My dad is fantastic, and he's been ranching for 60 years. And I learn something every day that I am with him. Every single day. He's the best part about Wagyu. Um, but he wasn't able to teach me everything. I needed to have another outlet where I learned the things
Hmm.
um, that I might would have if I had chosen agriculture as my profession from the beginning.
And it sounds like the things that you learned that you were bringing into the operation weren't there before. So that you were
Yes,
bringing in something new, you were helping with that risk management aspect. So that I'm sure that's important for him as well and exciting for him as well to see you, bringing those things to the table.
it has been really good. My dad has the ranching side covered,
Hmm.
but he hates paperwork.
As
Um,
a,
and
a lot of
so
farmers and ranchers do.
with my business background, um, and going to Annie's project and learning the agricultural business side
Hmm.
and being able to bring that in, um, I've been able to add to our business, um, not just be my dad's shadow. Um, I've been able to actually be a partner.
That's awesome. Can you share a little bit about how your confidence has changed going forward?
I've had to find ways to make a name for myself and to um, be recognized as a valid business person within a male-dominated
Mm-hmm.
industry. When I first started, I was Rafleigh's daughter. And he was the founder of the Texas Wagyu
Mm-hmm.
Association, larger than life. Everyone knew him, but I needed to be Jeri Tulley and someone that was worth them coming and talking to me because I had valuable knowledge. Um, and at the first American Wagyu Association convention that I went to, the Wagyu World magazine debuted. And my dad had asked me to write an article about Wagyu just because he wanted it to be out there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd written an article for American Livestock, and it was in the process of being published. So when I saw Wagyu World magazine, I just went up to the editor and said, "Hi, my name is Jeri Tulley, and are you looking for writers?" And um, she was. She said, "Send me. Have you ever written for ag?" And that was how I got into writing for Wagyu World magazine as a feature writer. Um, my editor, Mercedes Danicus, she is fantastic. She gave me carte blanche. I could
Mm-hmm.
write about anything that I felt was important. And it gave me another avenue to educate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gave me an in with people because they wanted to be interviewed. So they were willing to answer my questions
Mm-hmm.
and give me the time. Um, and then I figured if I needed to know about it, everybody else did. So when people would read my articles, I suddenly had an expert status. And they knew that I knew what I was talking about, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew the people in the industry. Um, that got me to be asked to be on the Texas Wagyu Association Board of Directors, and I served a 3-year term on that. So over time, all of those steps built my confidence
Mm-hmm.
in myself, um, that I could actually do this and be successful in agriculture.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a
I
process.
I can imagine. I love that. And thank you for sharing those examples, Jerry. I can understand and it whether it's a parent or maybe it's a spouse, a business partner, sometimes you do need to step away from their shadow, so you're not, you can say, hey, I'm a full partner in this too. I know things. I have, some value to share. And I kudos to you for reaching out and going up to her and saying, "Hey, are you looking for writers?" Because I think that's such an important example for all of us. Sometimes it does take us to make taking that step, that action step, instead of just sitting back and waiting for someone to maybe approach you or maybe notice this or that. You were very active in stepping forward and saying, "I can do this. I've got things to share. I have knowledge to share." and you are an expert. And I really applaud you for being willing to be vulnerable, because I think that does take some vulnerability to step out and, say, hey, do you need writers? And that's awesome that she said yes. But even if she had said no, I still think that is a win for you for, being confident and reaching out to her.
Thanks. I think it was important for me. I had I had taken a little bit of time to sit down and figure out what my strengths were.
Hmm.
And then I was looking for ways to add to the business with my strengths because I knew that I wasn't going to be um, fantastic in cutting calves um, and all of those things that my dad is so great at.
Hmm.
Um, I needed to find things that I was good at and how they would work to help the business. So I encourage anybody who is in my shoes or is just trying to get into an agriculture business of any kind
Hmm.
is to do a strength assessment of what they're really good at
Hmm.
and build upon those strengths.
I think that's a great lesson to share, is for all of us to do that. And by in doing that, you didn't just learn agriculture, you became a voice for it through your writing. So your giving back to agriculture hasn't stopped with Wagyu. You're giving back through Annie's project as well. What does that mean to you?
Um, well, I was really excited when I got an email as an Annie's Project alum
Hmm.
when Annie's Project was looking for some committee members. And I have grown enough um, and had enough experience in agriculture that I felt that I had a story to share and experience to share. And I was also at a point in my life where my boys had grown enough that I had time to share.
Hmm.
And I wanted to give back to an organization that gave so much to me. Um, I would love for other people to know more about Annie's project and to get involved and to um, have the opportunity to be helped like I was.
So you spoke a little bit to this, but in what other ways do you hope women could gain from being involved with Annie's project?
Well, the knowledge is fantastic.
Hmm.
I had 6 weeks of presentations by people in my community. So it wasn't I got presentations from the lawyers in my communities, and then I already knew who had ag law experience
Hmm.
because they were the ones that were volunteering to help. And so I got to know professionals in my community who came and spoke, but I also got to know the women in my community who were in ag. And that was just a fantastic bonus that I wasn't expecting when I signed up for the program um, because it gave me friends and a support group, um, a network. I can call my friends up and say, hey, I'm looking for XYZ. Where do I go for that? And um, one or more of us have had that exact problem
Hmm.
and know the answer. So I think that women overall are very resilient um, and strong.
Hmm.
And to be in agriculture, you have to be those things. And it just gave me a like-minded group of friends and some people to lean on when I needed it.
Well, if our listeners would like to learn more about Annie's project, we encourage you to go to our website, anniesproject.org, and you can see the different programs that we offer across the country and as well as the states that are offering classes near you. So, Jeri, last question. What would you say to a woman who suddenly finds herself in a situation similar to yours?
I I'm sorry. I know the heartbreak and loss that you feel right now. At some point, you will rise again. You are stronger than you think, and you will be able to do it. I encourage you to reach out to people, and just go outside and look around and see the beauty of nature. And I wish you the best in your grief and healing journey.
Thank you, Jeri, for being on the podcast and being willing to share your story. I know that it's hard to, and we're asking questions that's making you have to relive some of that in your mind. So thank you for being willing to be vulnerable and to share, and also to inspire us to to know that whatever we may be facing, that we can overcome it. And sometimes you do need to reach out to others um, to help you and guide you through that journey, and that's okay, and that is what you that's what you need, and that you can do it. And I think our listeners will come away from this episode, feeling like, wow, what a strong woman. You really are remarkable, Jeri. So thank you for again inspiring all of us. Jeri's story is a powerful reminder that none of us are expected to know it all, but we are capable of learning, growing, and stepping into what's next. And sometimes the most important step is simply finding your people. Thanks for listening to Rooted and Ready for Manny's Project, where we learn, share, and grow together. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need it today. Until next time, stay rooted and ready.